got another email, and I want to give him credit for it. Dave in Arkansas, who pitched the following idea, and I want to share it with everybody right now because I think it's a really intriguing idea. He says, Lesnar stays champion until WrestleMania, and Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble. Seeing how WWE repeats history all too often, Paul Heyman then turns on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania like he did at Survivor Series back in 2002, when he helped Big Show win the title from Brock. Since Lesnar would be on his way out of WWE anyway, Heyman would prefer to side with a younger, up-and-coming star like Roman Reigns and cast Brock aside. It would then be revealed the following night that it was a plan by the Authority. Reigns would turn heel and be the, quote, corporate champion like The Rock. Back in 98, Seth Rollins, like Mick Foley in that same storyline, would feel slighted and underappreciated by Triple H and Stephanie. This could turn Rollins babyface for a feud with Reigns, culminating in Rollins cashing in his Money in the Bank contract and becoming champion, cementing him as a top star. I hate the idea of splitting up Heyman and Lesnar, but the idea of doing a double turn at Mania with Reigns winning the belt and becoming a Paul Heyman guy is intriguing to me. I actually think it's a good idea. I'm not saying I would definitely do it. I'm just saying if I was thinking outside the box of ideas, and if I knew Brock was leaving, so if Brock's last date is WrestleMania 31 and they don't sign him to a new deal, or he decides, I'm done, I've had my fun, I'm going to go back to UFC, and it looks like he's really out, I think then at that point, this idea makes sense. I think it would potentially make sense. Now, you're trying to build Roman Reigns up as the next big babyface to possibly take John Cena's spot. That's one of the other problems, I guess, with the idea. You can't build this guy up and build him up and build him up as the next babyface and then turn him heel without having somebody else not named John Cena there to feud with him. Is Seth Rollins that guy? I do see Rollins long-term having, more value as a babyface. I just think he's so spectacular in the ring. People would genuinely like to cheer for the guy. Dean Ambrose is the guy I always saw long-term as being the ultimate heel villain in the company. I would ride the wave with Ambrose as a babyface as long as I possibly can because he is over right now. He's probably the most over of the three. But I still say down the road, long-term, Ambrose's real future is as a really hardcore, despicable heel up against whoever the top babyface is at the time, probably John Cena. But to go back to this idea here, if Brock does leave, Heyman does the turn, Reigns wins the title, so he gets his big WrestleMania moment, but he becomes a Paul Heyman guy in the process, that would solve the problem of Reigns in the eyes of some not being the strongest. And he's not the strongest on promos. He's not great. He's okay. He has his moments. He's not good with scripted material. When I've heard him and seen him kind of off the cuff, he's actually pretty good. But that would solve that problem. If Brock leaves after Mania, the issue is Heyman has nobody left to manage, and that would be a crime for him to go away with Brock. We need Paul Heyman on TV. Paul Heyman has been one of the shining beacons of this television show, especially ever since The Shield broke up. Heyman kind of he's not a wrestler, but he's filled that void in a way. His promos are must-see. Week after week, he somehow finds a way to top himself. He's just great at what he does. If Brock stays, which is also possible, it turns him babyface looking for revenge. Kind of the way it did back in 2002, right? Brock was already starting to get cheered. And I think the storyline at the time was that Heyman was finding it more difficult to control the monster he created, and Brock was starting to think for himself. And that's when Heyman knew, and so he plotted against him, and he went with Big Show instead, and then Brock just became full-on badass babyface. I think the same thing would probably happen here, and then what you could do is you could do the deal with Rollins also turning and feuding with Reigns, but I wouldn't have Rollins win. I would keep the belt on Roman Reigns for a while and then feud him with Dean Ambrose for the championship at that point, or maybe you revisit Reigns and Brock, only with the roles reversed this time, Brock being the babyface and Reigns being the heel. But in your scenario, in Dave's scenario, I do think the real money would be heel Roman Reigns feuding with babyface Dean Ambrose for the championship. I think that could really be a feud that carries the company next year if they wanted to go in that direction. So I'll just leave it at that. I hate the idea of splitting up Brock and Paul because they're so inseparable. You know, together they're so much better than they are as great as they are individually. Together they're just unbeatable as a combo. And I really would only entertain the idea if I knew Brock wasn't going to come back and we were going to go with Reigns and Rollins, Reigns and Ambrose, with Reigns being a Paul Heyman guy and Heyman doing most of the talking for him. That's something I would definitely consider. I think that's a hell of an idea.